and welcome to the daily market review. But today, as last week, we'll be talking about the ERs that be happening this week. So we already had today. McDonald's had a nice earnings, nice numbers, nice run today, $9 up. We got some big ones tomorrow. One of the big biotechs and one of the big techs, Apple and Gilead. So these two are going to be the ones that are going to kind of move the market come Wednesday. We got Shopify tomorrow, and we got Seagate. I like Seagate, but overall they with the semis struggling with good numbers, but they're still not able to do really much movement. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But we'll look at the charts and we kind of figure we'll see where it goes depending on the numbers. We got Mastercard. I love Mastercard. I don't really watch Estee Lauder, but I like the chart on it, and I have never played it. But I'm gonna talk on it because it was brought to my attention last time. So and the chart looks still really good. It's still very intact. So we'll just talk about it going into the earnings, how it looks. We got Tesla, Square, and FireEye on Wednesday after close. This is not really a big tech, Tesla. So, but again, it's a very big cult stock. So we'll talk about it. Same with Square. Today we had news on Square, the Citron. Andrew left all over again. So we'll talk on that as well. And then FireEye. Been doing good like last couple earnings, so we'll see what happens. We'll just look at the chart and see what the upside is. Hopefully, my guess here is going to be positive earnings, and we'll look at the levels where it can go to. And Thursday morning we got DWDP, Dow DuPont, a big Dow stock, so we'll look into it. And then we got Activision Blizzard, ATVI, a gaming company, and then Skyworks, another chip. Apple chip stocks. So if Apple does good tomorrow, maybe this can get a little bump. If not, this is gonna look ugly coming out. I'm gonna show you what we got here. Not pretty at all. So if Apple does well, we can expect some reversal and then kind of help that chart out. If not, they are struggling. And of course, Friday, we got the controversial Alibaba, and it's just funny. I love Alibaba, but I think it's in a spot right now where it can go either way. The history is to speak. Always runs into ER, and then obviously spikes in the early morning after the numbers comes out, and then by 9:30 it gives everything's back, and then just closes red. That's the history for last almost year since I've been playing it at least. So we'll look into it. And then we got the CBOE global markets. I like it. I've been playing it with Tech Money for quite some time. So we'll look into the levels here as well. So let's start with our usual SPY and the Qs, SPY and the QQQ. So let me actually go into the weekly here. So I want to talk about it. So this is a weekly chart of S&P 500. This is the starting point from the 2016 February pullback. We had a pullback in August, and we came back and tested those kind of levels in January and February. Since then, we've been on a nice channel. We broke out of the channel this January on our massive rally that we had in January, and then we kind of came back in this channel. Looking into this channel, we are right now at this spot right here. Today we are down $2 on S&P, 20 points on S&P 500. We are in this wedge. Even today, you see how it came to this line and just could not get above it. It touched it over here. It touched it on the bottom here. Again, touched it. So what we see, this is going to get very tight come this May, in next couple of weeks. And it's going to give us a direction that we all want it to be breaking out of this channel, of this, this trend line breakout. Right now we're back in this 2016 channel, and so we got to keep an eye on this. This can easily, if this breaks down here under this channel, we got a level here which was the low from February 9th, And if not, I mean, there's nothing much to do here. I mean, we can easily come down here to these levels, 2400, 240. And then we got some levels over here, which is the 252. So we really need to hold this 252, or we got nothing much support until this 50 SMA, or the 100 SMA, which is the 240.85 as well, but also some strong support area. So fingers crossed, we want to see the breakout of this channel to the upside, and kind of make that way up to the 265 or 270, and then moving on from there. So eyes on S&P 500. Same thing goes with the NASDAQ QQQ ETF, the tech. So the same thing goes here. We've been in the channel since that 2016 pullback. Nicely hugging the channel every time. Comes up, comes down, up, testing it. We break out here, and then we actually breaking out twice here. We broke out earlier in January, came back on February 9, broke out again, and then again came down. And right now we are again the same thing. Downtrend line, and the uptrend line. We've been hugging it, and in a couple of weeks we'll know the direction. We want it to be an upside, but the tech has been a little weak since they made this all-time highs here, which was 175. We have been, kind of between 163 and 156. So in that $8-9 range, we've been trending up and down, trading actually. So we want to make sure we actually break out of this. We need to know a direction here. Right now we are just sideways. You can see this is sideways. This is not a direction. This is a great market for scalping up and down. But you see here, we had a direction back in, look at this direction, an uptrend. We had a direction, we're going up. Right now, there's nothing here to do. If you're scalping, if you're a great scalper, amazing, works for you. But besides that, there's not much you can do here. It's just a boring market. We need some kind of a trend. I don't care if it's downtrend either. I don't care. I just need some kind of a, okay, we're gonna go down. Okay, once we break this line, I'm shorting it. I'm shorting the market. If we break this trend line, if we break this up line, I'm gonna be long. So until then, I'm just sideways. Today I was all over the Q short, and I'll show you exactly what I did today. Let's look at 1 minute chart. Let me just remove all the drawings, and I'll just give you kind of an overview of what happened today. And I even did this in the room today. I called it in the room. And what you see here is that it's a nice Q short in the morning. We had this strong support at this 162 level. And I actually saw this top over here, and I knew it's not going to break it. So I actually went short at the morning, right in the top over here. And I covered almost, I think, somewhere around this area, around the 161. A little too early, because I saw some green coming in, some some nice spikes. But even over here, I didn't sell it. I knew that I'm gonna get this crack over here, and I had a nice short from 163 all the way down to 161, and I went to 160. So it was a good short all overall. Now, same thing goes with IWM. Nice 2016 channel. We broke out in last year October during the Trump election. Came back in the channel, and then just trading in the channel. What I see here now is this possibly is the thing I see here. I see this. I just a downtrend, and then I really want this to break out. This is just downtrending. Nothing much going on here. So I really want to see this break out, and then either up or down, and then give me a direction. And all we right now want is the direction in the market. You see this nice uptrend? I want to see some kind of direction that I can trade easily. Okay, let's talk. What we got tomorrow morning? Shopify and Seagate. Shopify, been beat down quite a bit lately. Since last year, earnings was really good. Had a nice spike, made all-time highs, came back, pulled back in the April-March month, and been sideways all since then. Almost for what? Since March 28th, all the way till yesterday. And then today we finally saw a breakout going into the earnings. I strongly feel if the numbers are good, we break this 140 and then we probably make a new all-time highs into coming weeks if the market is good. If the numbers aren't good, we got some support at 112 and then 100. That would be a pretty big drop, but I see a 200 SMA, which is also 113, which is around 112, to hold if the numbers aren't good. If the numbers are good, I see the breakout of 140 and then probably going into 150s into a week or so. So I'm not playing the earnings, but I like it. I probably would play it after the earnings. Seagate, another semi. Wind was doing really good. Since all this year, went from almost 42 to 62. Nice jump in this year. And let's see what levels we got to watch here going into earnings. Just make this into a so. On the upside, yes, we got quite a bit of levels. But here's the thing, right? WDC had earnings last week. They reported really good numbers, guided well, and still dropped $7. So I really don't know what happens into this tomorrow. Even if we have good numbers, this can drop to 54 or 52, down all the way down to this level. Hell, it can even close this gap. It can even close this gap into a week or so if it turns really bad. So we got to keep an eye on this. But Seagate was down today as well, so this can easily turn. That it would be a pretty big drop, because it hasn't really filled this gap either. So it would be a really big drop. But I really expect this to hold this 56, 54 area, and or even 52 area on good or bad numbers. And good numbers, obviously, we can look at 67. But bad numbers, we gotta keep an eye on this 56 and 54. And then going into Apple and Gilead tomorrow after hours. All right. So today we finally saw some reversal on Apple. Kind of makes me feel like they might beat. I don't know. Let's see. Not much gap filling here, because this gap got filled twice. One time, the one over here, one time in September, and one time on February 9, the 150. So we know that this is a strong support at 150. Okay, we know that, and I see a really massive $10, $11 pullback, 11% pullback on here from 180 all the way down to 161, and held that support twice. And today we saw some nice one into the earnings. I expect this to continue. The only thing was we couldn't close above the 200 SMA. But we kind of broke out of it this morning and then kind of came under it. The MACD is curling over. The RSI is a little oversold. Technical wise, this should pop into earnings if the numbers are good. And if the numbers are good, I expect this to pop at least till over here. 170, that's probably nothing. And then into 176, probably kind of get back up there. And if they're not good, it won't be good for us. 156 and then 150. If 150 is not good, 150 it doesn't hold, and I'm just gonna put this out there. We got some support at this 134 level. So just putting it out there. Just have to be careful in this kind of market. Things can turn around very quickly, very easily, and we just gotta be mindful of those levels. That's it. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it can. Even Caterpillar, I didn't think it's going to drop from 160 to 142, but it did on that one particular day of the earnings. So anything can happen. Just have to be, have an open mind about the lines. Anything can happen in this market. Even good news can be a sell-off news. So just be careful with Apple, and then overall, it's going to affect the entire market. So you just got to be careful about those things. Gilead. Now, I like Gilead. I used to play a lot. I played this from, I remember this spike over here, man. I remember this. I played from 63 all the way to 71. Played from here. Played from this 68 to 76. Then played from this level all the way to 89. So I played this quite a bit. But here's what I'm seeing here, which I don't like to see, is that a breakdown today, put this at this neck level of an head and shoulders in a kind of way. And if this breaks down, all that I can expect is this gap to fill up at 67. And I do expect that to happen tomorrow. Gilead does tend to drop on earnings. It's a bio company, and they just, some kind of a study or data or earnings, their drug is not doing well in the market, whatnot. This gap can get filled. It's a buying opportunity in my mind if this gap gets filled. But if this holds, we can if our numbers are good, expect a spike over 76, and then up here into this 80 level. But I would keep an eye on this. This can easily break down tomorrow. If it breaks down tomorrow, even going into the earnings, just short it into the earnings and close before the earnings. Because this can easily drop down. If this breaks, it can easily come down to this level of 60s, high 60s and low 70s. Going into Wednesday morning, we got MasterCard and we got Estee Lauder. So MasterCard reminds me of Visa chart. Visa was having a hard time at 125, even though it had made a previous high of 126. Same thing with MasterCard. It had made an all-time high at 183, but now kind of struggling at this 180 level. MasterCard had a great earnings, and Visa had great earnings and made a new all-time highs. American Express made a new all-time highs on good numbers. I expect the same out of MasterCard. I expect this to break out 183 and then probably test at 190. It has been on a massive. It's a great stock. I love it. I play it all the time. I know Maria loves it all the time. She plays this quite often as well. I'm not sure if she's playing the earnings. I'm not. As of yet, I'm not. I might end up playing it. I don't know. But we got to keep an eye. 180 breaks, 183, and then 190. Okay? And I'm pretty positive that this will have good numbers. That's what I can tell you. I'm pretty positive they will beat. We got we got Estee Lauder. Okay. So a lot of stocks this week. A lot of good stocks. Estee Lauder been on a nice channel since October. Nice channel. And every time it hits the top channel, it comes down and tests the bottom one. And I see this. I expect this to kind of make a, and obviously it has all from last couple years. It has been a nice, good ERs, and always hold the 13 SMA as well. I expect this to, even if they have bad number, I expect this line to hold. Because if it breaks, there's nothing much until this 100 SMA. So this line, this trend line, this channel has to hold if the numbers aren't good. If they're good, great, and this should pop higher. If they're not good, this and it breaks down this channel, not much until 138. So be mindful of that. All right, going into Thursday after hours. Wednesday after hours. Okay, damn, it's on Wednesday, huh? All right, Tesla. 300, nice solid support. What's the solid support? We had some triple tops at 361 level. Actually, more than triple tops. We also had some, tops here. Made all-time highs, but the tops are here. And 300 held on a couple times. Last earnings, 300 held on. Earnings before that, 300 held on. But this time, market's like, you know what, man? Not this time. And then it really dropped out and it held on to this 250 support line. Tried to make that move today over 300, but got rejected. Now 300 becomes a new back into resistance. So if this doesn't break into tomorrow, I expect this to go down. I got levels here into 280 or 279 and 250. This can easily take a tank on going into ER. I'll be careful if you're playing earnings. You want to keep these levels in mind on the downside. Upside, I would say, if they do well, which I hardly doubt it, you got 330 and then 360, which is very unlikely, just because they have not been doing good. They probably will raise capital, probably, or do an offering on the ER, and that's going to cause a drop. And they need money. They will have to do an offering, which is going to be probably bring that down to 250. So be careful on this one. Square, okay. Today, it's been doing okay. I actually what I've thought about it, thought we'll run into the earnings probably up over 50, 53 level, but seeing this around this 46, 45 level is kind of a pretty good level going into earnings, because it gives it a nice room to run on good numbers, So I like that, because if you look at Square in the past, it really doesn't run into the, it did run in, this was after. So if you look at the pre-earnings Square, like a week sideways, and then it pops into after the earnings. Even the day of the earnings, it won't do much, and then pops after the earnings. Same thing here, sideways, and then it pops after the earnings, and it just keeps going. I'm seeing the same thing over here now. We are pretty much sideways, nothing much going on. I expect this to do well, and then run into the run after the earnings. So we are at the same level that we were last quarter. So I expect it to probably go back to 58 on good numbers. So if this doesn't run into the earnings, play after the earnings, buy after the earnings, and then play that run afterwards. So you have a pattern here. Why not use it to your advantage, right? Sideways and a pop, sideways and a pop, and then same thing I expect this time. Sideways. Report Wednesday after hours, buy Thursday morning, and then hold for a couple of days and sell it at 50 at this level, 58 maybe, who knows. So just follow the pattern. And then FireEye. Let's see the levels here real quick. Let's see some fib lines. What do we see here? That's not the fib. Okay, right now we are under the 78.6 Fibonacci, at the 50 SMA as well. So should hold. I expect some good numbers from these guys again. They have been doing good. I see a massive bull flag here. I see a pop going into the earnings. 1932 to $20 break should be possible going into earnings. Going into Thursday morning, DWDP. I see, this is a little troubling looking chart here. Really be down with the market. All-time highs at 77, coming down and testing the long-term support at 61, back to 68. Now I see a bear flag here, so a bear flag and a drop. I expect this to drop a little further and hold 61 level. Earnings hopefully are good. We can test the 68. If they're bad, we go to 61 on Dow DuPont. So that's the levels I have. Let's see for longer term, what do we see here? Let me see the 3-year chart real quick. So if we break this 61, we don't really have anything until 59 and then 56. And if you break the 68, then we can easily go to 72 and then 74. So the levels to watch here. ATVI. I like ATVI. I'm completely out of it. I've been playing it for quite some time. I've been buying at this level, 63, selling it at 69, buying it at 64, selling at 67. And now I'm completely out. I like the stock. The nice strong support at 65 level, 66 level. I expect them to do well. They have games that have been delaying some games lately, which have been not working in their favor. So if this 63 breaks down, we got some support at the. This is actually holding the strongest support of 200 SMA as well. So if this breaks down, we go down to this level of 57, because there's nothing much in the way. If 63 breaks down, we are down to this 60 level. So you gotta hold this. They have to report well. If not, they don't have really don't have much support on the way down. So the way up, yeah, 70, 71, 74, and all the way up. So Skyworks. Now this is the one I was talking about earlier. So if only Apple can save the stock tomorrow. If not, it's an ugly looking chart here right now. And when I say that, you can easily see, if you can't see this, I'll show right here. There's this massive gap to fill from January of 2017, from 79 to that spike from the earnings, I believe. Right now we are at the same level. We pretty much did a double top here, actually a triple top here, and now we're just coming down, and we gotta hold this 85. Okay, if we don't hold this 85, what happens? We fill this gap and we go to 74. Okay, so this gotta hold. This needs to hold. Only Apple can turn this around to come tomorrow. If they report well, and because the Skyworks is a Apple supplier, so they have to hold this. And if Apple reports bad, this 85 will crack, and then if Skyworks report bad, 80 and we'll fill this gap, and 75 will come. So keep this in mind. It's way oversold. Technically, it's way oversold. So any kind of good number from Apple and from Skyworks is going to make it pop really strong. So it can be both the ways, but downside is much more than upside here. So, be mindful of this gap over here. Could get filled easily. All right, let's talk about the controversial Alibaba. Let me just remove all these chart lines from here, and let me even remove this study. And let's just talk for a second here. A lot of people like the stock. I personally love the stock. I've been playing it for I don't know how many months, not years. But what's going on here? What you are seeing that I'm not seeing? Let's talk that, right? Because everybody gets very sensitive when it comes to Alibaba for some reason. I don't. I love the stock, but I play it both the ways. I'm not a single-minded person when it comes to this stock. So what's going on here? 166, strongest support so far. We haven't, even though we kind of dipped under it on a couple of times, we haven't filled this gap to 160. That's the one thing. 160, 180, we have been having a very hard time getting above it for last, for a month or so. We've been having a hard time holding 180. So that's one thing. Now, going into the earnings, you look at last earnings. I understand the market conditions have changed tremendously. I understand that. But that is so unlike Alibaba. It has really not, any spike that happens, you are finding sellers. This morning, 180, found sellers. Not able to just get above that 180. Even China was up, Hang Seng was up 500 points, yet we were only up $1.38. Last week when the Nasdaq was nicely green on Friday, Alibaba was hardly up like $3. Usually it's up like $10, especially going into the earnings. So there is that China-U.S. trade wars spat coming into play here that we have to keep in mind, keep an eye on. We have to be open-minded. This can, and every time let's look at history. Alibaba reported, have earnings on this day. I remember this because I was playing this one on March 18th. It dipped to 114, and then and basically gave everything back, and then closed at 116. Went from 120 to 114 and closed at 116. Okay. Then they had the investor day in June, spiked to 144, gave everything back to 135. Okay, then over here, spiked to 167, gave everything back to 163. Then back in October, went to 191, gave everything back to 181. February 1st, spiked to 206. Well, this was, I think, day before earnings. Spiked to 199, closed down at 190, and then just downtrending. What are you seeing? Okay, so let's just kind of talk about it for a second. Downtrending. All Also, doesn't matter if the company has good fundamentals, right? Sometimes it's just, first of all, Alibaba is one of the heavily shorted stock in the market, heavily shorted stocks. So that's one of the issues. So one red day in the market, this goes down like $10 because it's just a heavily shorted stock. My target, I'm not gonna give my price target on this one because they're just people get upset. So just leave it at that. But levels to watch here. If they report, and if history is to say that they sell into earnings after the earnings, so 180, I see this gap to get filled, 159, and in sometime this year, and I see this gap to get filled too. This is a massive gap here. I see that. Look at this. I mean, this hasn't really done much. Nothing. What I'm seeing here is this: small, little big, little big, little bigger, huge, and then going small, 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 and then kind of just fizzling out. This is what I'm seeing. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but when I look at it, that's what I end up seeing it. So, to all the bulls, to all the long-term traders at Alibaba, just be mindful of the lines where it can go. Upside is huge here because if they report really well and this actually holds up, we can break 180 obviously, and we can go to 190 and then make that onto 200. If they don't do well, this gap can get filled. So just the first gap of 160. And then CBOE, they're the CBOE Global Markets, so WIX. So 100 is 104, strong support here. When we had that massive pullback, they actually got really beaten up. So from 138 to all the way to 96, but 104 has been holding pretty strong. I expect this to kind of hold on to this area, and I expect them to report really well. Because all the VIX transactions are done through CBOE, so they got a good commission out of it, and now we have Bitcoin also trading through them. So there's a lot of positives that they have. That just has not been moving much nicely lately. So I expect this to go to 110 and then 116. Downside, I expect this to hold this 196 level. So it's a lot of not much to do on this one. Just wanted to talk about it since I play it, but I'm not playing this earnings. But since I have played in the past, I just want to talk about it a little quick. So upside, we can see some 116 levels. Downside 96. And so that was it for today. Nothing on CBOE much, but the big ones that we got to keep an eye that can actually move the market is Apple will move the tech, and Gilead will move the biotech. MasterCard will move Visa and American Express. So keep an eye on MasterCard. If they don't really do well, Visa can take a little hit. FireEye, if they do well, it will help PanW. So we keep an eye on that. ATVI will help all the gaming stocks if they do well, up or downwards. And Skyworks will help the chips, the semis, and so will the SDX. So these two gotta keep an eye. Alibaba, if they do well, might get a little bump to Amazon, but I doubt it. Amazon's gonna do any. Will be getting affected by Alibaba in any way or form. So that was it. And one of the plays I want to talk about real quick before I end this video is Walmart. And I've been posting this chart for quite some time on StockTwits and in the Discord room for Black Box member. And I've been talking about it that this 87.73 strong resistance, and then they had news this morning from Europe, and we had this massive nice spike to of almost actually went to $90, 89.78. And I actually had bought this, back at 85 level, and I was holding it for last, actually bought it at this level. Yeah, so I was actually holding it for almost like a few weeks now. And every time it came up, I actually sold it. I bought it again at 85 level. So I was actually trading it nicely in the channel. And then finally I got that nice spike to get off my calls, and I sold it today. I would alert what I'm buying, but selling is up to you. When to sell a stock, when to cover, when to take your gains is you as a trader should know. I will share what I'm buying, but when to sell, it should be up to you as a person. Okay? Everybody will have a different account, and everybody will want a different kind of amount of gains for their account. So when to sell, I would not share that. I would never tell you. If I'm selling for a loss, I will tell you, hey, I'm cutting out. But when I'm selling for gains, that's up to you. Okay. So yeah, it was a great play, and then you see this massive profit taking that came into play here. This line, I expect this to hold, and I expect this to run into earnings to $90. I would love to get back in it under this line and then buy it again. So it was a good swing play, and I hope everybody who followed this play made good profit. So great job, and that was it. So thank you for watching, and have a great day. Stay safe out there, and let's kill some stuff tomorrow. Thank you for watching.